Welcome back, guys. Well, today I'm back at the cabin and starting to think about things that I need to get done in the coming year. Stay tuned. Well, you can see since the last time we were here, there's quite a lot of snow that's fallen, which is great. Lots of moisture. Means I can also use the snowmobile as well. It's nice and quiet out, you know, just so peaceful out here. Just the birds sort of chirping. They're kind of out and about foraging, so it's such a beautiful day. I think it's about -5 °C today. It'll be going back down to -17 tonight, so the sap's not running. So I'm not tapping any maple trees here at the cabin this year. I'm just not here as often as I'd like to be able to do it properly this year. So I've got a few taps set up in my backyard actually to tap some maple trees. The sap is running back home, and already I've got nearly a year's supply of maple syrup just for us. So that's pretty cool. I hope to have a video up about something that I'm going to make with the maple syrup that I've made. So if you guys have any ideas below as to what you want to see me make, you can put them down below in the comments. So I want to take you around and just sort of show you some plans that I have for the cabin and surrounding area for this coming spring. So as you can see behind me here in the field, the pine trees that we have back there are doing really well. So, you know, I really want to develop this into a white pine forest. It's just gonna be beautiful. And those trees back there are probably, I'd say, about 4 or 5 years old, maybe a little bit older than that. So they're really taking off. They're taking off so well that basically some of them are choking each other out. They're just not getting enough nutrients. So let's take a look at them. So the trees here are really dense. They're really tightly packed. They took off, they did well. They really have heavy competition in here. And basically I need to thin these out this spring. I don't want to over thin them, but just enough so that I can make sure we have some really healthy white pine moving forward. Otherwise they're going to end up runted, dying, things like that. So it's really important to use careful forestry management techniques to thin out the trees. Some of these here have taken a little bit of a hit this winter. The needles are kind of falling off the top. Last year, you remember there was a really bad drought throughout the summer, not this past summer, but the summer before that. So a lot of the trees did really poorly, but thankfully, because of all the rain we had last year, the record high rains, a few of them came back. So I'll be going through earlier this spring and sort of tagging the ones that I want to cull from the field. This year I hope to plant some deciduous trees. I'm thinking of maybe getting some sugar maple and maybe some other kinds of deciduous trees just along our laneway towards the cabin. I think that'd be really nice, and I really want to, you know, fortify the stand here and add a little bit of variety into it. It's pretty dense in terms of conifer and aspen around here. We've got our balsam firs, white pine, red pine, things like that. So I kind of want to get a bit more variety in here. Last fall I planted some walnut from nuts that I harvested this past year. So I'm really hoping the walnut takes off. I've flagged them off with a little bit of little orange flags, so I'll be able to find them and see if they've grown. Hopefully the squirrels left them alone this winter. I just want to show you each year that we're part of the Managed Forest Tax Incentive Program is where, you know, I have to fill out a report of our activity. Just want to show you here the log of things that we did last year. I have to submit this to the ministry in about 10 years time, so it's good to make a record of things as we go along year after year. Yeah, so we do quite a lot here at the cabin, at the property, to help the land. You know, we plant lots of trees, help thin out the dead trees in order to make this place better for us and for wildlife and for just the general environment. We are part of the Ontario Woodlot Association as well as the Managed Forest Tax Incentive Program, so we do quite a lot here. And the reason why I mention that is I received a bunch of sort of hate comments on one of my last cabin videos about you know, cutting down a tree for use as a Christmas tree, which then we use to burn. It really surprised me. I didn't realize that so many people were anti-chopping a tree down, especially one that was really needed to go because it was so tightly packed against its neighbors. It wouldn't have had a really good long life and would have been narrow and spindly and eventually would have come down in a storm. So, you know, we do manage the forest here. We do care a lot about the environment, and it just really bothered me, those comments that I got. So anyways, I responded and gave those individuals some information on proper forestry management, and hopefully they can see my point of view, but if not, I guess to each their own. But we do quite a lot here, and I'm looking forward to continuing to you know, preserve the forest and take care of it for generations to come. So this year we plan on turning this into sort of a bathroom house. I think what we're going to do is construct or get a composting toilet and put an actual shower stall in there. So I think that is going to be a game changer. You know, we have our outdoor toilet and outdoor shower, but certainly when the weather's bad and the bugs are bad, you can really appreciate being inside for those things. So we might actually turn this into, like I said, like a bathroom house, shower house, and move those items in there that we're storing maybe into another outbuilding. So we're gonna have to decide what kind of an outbuilding to create. There's lots of different options there, but this is just like the perfect location. You know, the cabin is basically that way, so that's basically just in front of me there. So yeah, it's not much of a hike, and basically we have to finish the outside of it. Obviously we'll probably put a gray water pit underneath, and then we'll look into some composting toilets. Also definitely going to be looking into a little bit more seriously the heating sources for the cabin. We couldn't get anybody out here last year, they were booked solid. So yeah, we're gonna get someone out here this spring to probably install something to heat the cabin with. So either a propane stove or a wood stove, so stay tuned. I'll definitely be vlogging about that to let you know what happens there. As soon as we can get vehicles in here, we'll be able to do that. For now we're still walking or snowmobiling in. There's still quite a bit of snow in the field, which is awesome. As you know, with my last camping trip there was really very minimal snow. So yeah, it'll be a few more weeks before we can do that, and we'll get someone out here to get some nice heating in there other than that yucky, stinky kerosene heater. And of course I've started thinking all about gardening. So I've got my books in to order seed and stuff like that. I think this year I want to make a couple of you know, pots to plant some veggies and maybe some really small box gardens. So I'll see how that goes, but that is definitely my plan this year for gardening. Last year I ended up planting a few you know, flowers and stuff. Every year I like to give myself a little surprise in the spring. So I'll plant some tulips or something like that, so that when I get here in the spring and the garden's all you know, blooming, it's a beautiful surprise. That's one really nice thing you can do for yourself, you know, at your cabin or your house. You know, plant a nice little garden or little, you know, bulbs here and there, and then, you know, forget about it for a few months and then come back in the spring and surprise yourself. So that's my little present to myself every spring here at the cabin. I want to show you guys a new trail cam that I picked up on sale at Cabela's. I got it after Christmas and they had some nice sales. So it's called the Browning Command Ops. Got 14 megapixel pictures, and it also shoots in HD. So I'm really pumped about that. It's sort of similar to my other one. My other camera is the Browning Strike Force, and I'm really happy with that camera. So there's some of the specs on the back if you guys want to take a peek at that, but I'm really excited. This time of year the animals will start to move a little bit more. So I like this camera because it's really familiar to me. You know, it's the Browning cameras all kind of look the same. The one pain about this camera is the batteries. So look at all this, 8 batteries I have to stick in here. And of course I put my lithiums and other high quality batteries in there, so that adds up. But thankfully the Browning cameras, I find the batteries last a really long time, and they're very efficient with their battery use. So hopefully the batteries don't conk out on me very quickly with this camera. Usually at the end of April there, the moose start moving around and kind of coming up right in front of the cabin. It's a really magical time of year for me to see these animals moving around. So I'm really happy with the Browning cameras. So like I said, I got the other one there on sale. I'm going to pop it up here just so that I can be sure to get the moose migration out from the back bush up front of the cabin. So it's really neat to see some of the, I wonder if there's some of the same individuals that come back each year. They clearly follow the same pathway, and I can literally set my watch by when they kind of come by the cabin. So not sure this year, the late winter's been sort of weird with warm-ups and cool downs, but I'm certain they sort of follow the light pattern. You know, mentally they know what time of year it is, so they'll be moving. So I'm gonna get that camera out there right away and check on my other trail cams. Let's see if I got anything cool. Well, this is ahead of the trail where I usually put up the trail cam, so I'm going to put up my new browning trail ops. I just checked it out. I walked in front of it just at the cabin there to see if it would record a video, and it did, and a really high quality one at that. Although the battery tends to look like it's getting sapped right away as it's recording, I hope that's not a bad sign for things to come. So just going to attach it to the tree there behind me. All right, it's all set up. You can see the old one underneath it there. I don't even think that one's reading anymore. I'll probably take that one down shortly. Now let's go check on my my other old browning trail cam just on one of the back trails here. It's a really blustery day out here. I'm just staying tucked back here in the bush, but the bay in through here is still frozen. This is all water in front of me, but it's down like, I don't know, 2 or 3 feet. The river around here is regulated for hydro purposes, and so they can fluctuate the water levels, and also if you know, they're anticipating a major flood or something, they can bring the waters up and down. So water, it's frozen right now, but underneath, like, it's all kind of caved in and there's air pockets, so it can be really dangerous out on the bay right now. So I usually just sort of stick along the shoreline to be safe. I'm just headed up now to check my trail cam further on down the trail. Looks like a rabbit highway in through here. I'm not surprised. Tons of snowshoe hare in around here. A little bit different than the desert cottontail that I showed you guys in one of my videos there in the Mojave Desert. Definitely related, but these guys prefer these woodlands right here. And here's the main bay. And yeah, the water levels are low here. In the middle you can see there's like a little coyote highway. So that's probably where the coyotes, they go down here and then they go up in the woods. Just up here, you can see some tracks. Looks like coming from that way. And it looks like, first I thought they were moose tracks or something, but they're actually, I think there's some big tracks of like a wolf or something, a coyote just running in a full tilt. And look at this. Looks like a big run right here. I don't know what to make of all this. Maybe something was dragged in here. You can kind of see like huge wide tracks. I'm just gonna put my hand kind of in the tracks. You see that? Like, that's crazy. I don't know what that is. Maybe something's killed something and dragged it a while back. Kind of goes right out here into the middle. Huh. Very, very weird. It's all kind of this way, and then there you can see that the coyote is sort of just walking, or wolf, right here, and then he breaks out in a full-on run where I showed you earlier. Very cool. All right, I just had a theory. I just thought perhaps it is a beaver, because we certainly know the beavers are back in this bay, and there's 2 lodges on this bay, so I bet you anything, because it would kind of go up and down the bay there, that it might be a beaver. So we're gonna go check out a couple of the lodges and see what we can find. Well, no tracks, nothing going on around this one, so we'll just check the one at the back of the bay. Alright, so I made it to the second duck house, and I want to put some bedding in here. I forgot to do that when we installed it last year. This duck house looks out onto this little tiny beaver pond area here. And the other beaver lodge is over that way. We'll go check that out after. So this area, I have to be really careful. There's actually a stream that kind of comes from the backwoods there. It's where the animals are kind of following it, and they go and get their water, but if you just pop your foot through here, you're going to go through. Here on the other side of the little creek there, you can see the drag marks, and they go kind of off this way. So maybe it is a beaver that we saw earlier, because just up here you can see the beaver lodge to the left of the screen. So here's where a bunch of, I think coyotes or whatnot have been exploring this area, and you can see they've been digging into the, just ahead of the beaver. We're right walking on the dam right now. So this is sort of one of their little marking areas. Very interesting. So there's a little tiny poop in here too, so there's probably a bit of otter activity. The more I think of this, this looks like an otter latrine. There's all kinds of poop and pee and stuff. And of course all the dog tracks are kind of complicating everything, but there's probably some otters back in here. And here's the other beaver lodge, and I don't see any activity around here. It was all mainly around the dam back there, so quiet for now, but they'll be back in, taking some trees down, I'm sure, in the spring. Of course, with spring on the way, I'm pretty pumped for more mushroom foraging. So in the next 2 months, I'll be out with my eye to the ground looking for morels. My prediction this year is it will be a good mushroom foraging season. You know, morels need a specific amount of time below, I don't know if it's minus 15 Celsius or something like that as part of their life cycle. They need a specific amount of days that are really, really cold. And then things start happening early spring and they start to, the fungus starts to bloom and you get the mushroom fruit body. So pretty pumped about that. I scattered some spores around the cabin, so we'll see if anything happened there. But I've got my sites marked off from last year and I'll be checking them out. I can already see another project I have to do, and that's more trail work. Every year, you know, I clear out these trails and more trees and sticks fall down. Well, that's just how it is in the forest. So every year I just have to do a little bit of work, you know, keeping the trails nice and clear and safe for us to hike on. That's not too bad. One of the trails just behind me, just up through here, a huge tree fell down, so we just had to chop that up. Try to get the snowmobile going through. There's my other Browning camera that I'm in love with, my Browning Strike Force. Look up here, there's like an animal highway. Let's take a look. Oh wow, look at that. It's a consistent sort of trail up to the ridge there. Yeah, it's coyote. So they're kind of coming up, looks like from across the bay over there and kind of walking up here. And we know this is a really heavily populated area for coyotes and coy wolves and the like. So I'm gonna hope that I've got some images on here from what was going on over there. Let's take a peek. Yep, looks like I got 30 videos. We'll just show you what I got. Well, I guess I can see why this is a major coyote highway. We have tons of those rabbits around here. So you saw the sign earlier and then our little coyote highway, and they're certainly after those rabbits as well. So glad to see them around, and I'm just gonna reset the camera and head back into the cabin. Thanks so much for watching today, guys. I hope you're as excited about this year at the cabin as I am. Have a great week. Take care.